Níomháin gur ícón fashion a bhí an Grace Kelly, bhí oscail brunta ortha agus bí an banréalt búbúí a bhealh loch féchanna.
Bhí an camera an rála. Bhí si godánta, bhí si all-in. Nar tá sé ar an scáilán bín gachtainna géirí bheit brathnú RTE.
She did so few films, but such classic films.
From John Ford to Hitchcock, incredible movies.
Every one of hers really stood out, and I don't think there's another actress that can equal her on that.
You mustn't say that.
Agus í a mar a réime bhain si stanga a síl na sconán nuair a thug si dream live at Hollywood chun síl nua hosaí in the Banphrionsa in Monaco.
Becoming the Hollywood actress and then the princess. It's a story that's usually only told in fairy tales.
She was very loving and very generous. She always had the right word and the right smile at the right time.
Probably the most properly named person. She was gracious.
Bagar inín le himmerkich éirenachaí. Bhí dulúch angalacha le na dúchas. Chuir a cuartana éirean meán a dain faoi gheasa, agus chó si bhaim chullaghanna a casú le.
Níor chail shishi a sim in éirean I Mayo nó an seo I Mhaigh an bhíochan.
Lovely person. It was a great thing for us to say we were related to Grace Kelly.
She just treated us as a cousin.
Bhí si ag oscailt áiteanna ar gúlta na hÉireann do chuile an dáin.
Bhí sketchimíní ar na daoine mar gheallar an cuairt sin agus tugann sin mórtas áitiúil dúin mar páistí.
Seo I Banphrionsa na daoine agus bhí baint aging leis.
Tá méid an seo chun chuimhne agus ceiliúra a dhéanamh ar shiel an Banphrionsa Grace as Monaco, a tháinig a hanathair John Henry Kelly as Dramulra Shráidbhaile bheag díreachtaí an muid den baile seo. Now we come to the important occasion and I call on His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco to address us.
Today I'm infinitely grateful with the unveiling of this statue honoring Princess Grace, my beloved mother, in this her ancestral home, nestled on the shores of Clew Bay and steeped in history and heritage.
Tá anhaint ag Princess Grace le Mayo de tháinig a seanachar John Henry Kelly ón áit seo, Dramulra, Ballyachan, Newport. Agus cúig sé go America timpeall 87.
I knew very little about him until my mother told us about him much later on, but went to Philadelphia, worked different jobs and tried to, it was a struggle at first, apparently, and he was the reason why it was a Kelly family, or prominent Kelly family in Philadelphia, was because of him.
Rinne sé go maith I Philadelphia, rinne sé go hinnta go maith, d'oibre sé go crúí, ag bhí na seansan an agus an buntáiste go raibh sé an job a dhéanamh agus rinne sé go maith.
Bhí áiteanna faoi le I Philadelphia a raibh na Gaelmheiricánaigh lonathe antó. Ceandas na háiteanna sin about East Falls a faoi scá Dobson's Mill. Agus bhí Dobson's Mill ag déanamh plideanna do arm na héntachta é sa cogur carga. Agus ba ann a hochraigh seanathair Grace Kelly don chéad uair.
In America generally, especially around the famine and for some time after, the Irish were an unwanted refugee class. They were even considered not quite white. In Philadelphia specifically, it was even tougher here, I think, in that there were anti-Irish riots in the 1840s.
Bhí cuidhá gael in Philadelphia rivan gorta bhór, ach tháinig drám mór mílteach isteach iníag an gorta bhór. Agus nóid tá drám seo difriúil bhealach. Níl mór an scilin acu, is catlaigh iad, sais déascar slua bhealach atá ann, agus tá siad lonathe fad I mórdaí éagsúla sa chathair, bórdaí nach bhfuil das.
Nar arcantú siar an stairhain in le muntrin na héan na teach do mahan seo. Cahar go sé an dúchlanna agus Jackar Charles Gudí tír cyfia agus a gedi síl a chochúdíh hen agus bhí siad beobacht ní an dar ra acu bhí arú teachtain seo.
Ní a bhanan a bheith de catlachach agus bheith id Americanach. Agus dábhrí sin tagann sé sin chuig an rud sin a dúirt William Shannon, gur bíad na Héirnig nó na Gaelmheiricánig an drám a bhí chomór sin istig is Gaelmheiricá ach a bhí fós an taobh amuigh.
The grandparents of Grace were modest immigrants from Mayo, but their children were incredibly successful in sports, in construction, and in the theatre. And then Grace's own father, John B. Kelly, was handsome, athletic, and he was a self-made millionaire. He made his fortune during the construction boom of the 1920s in America.
Fear an spéisiúla Jack Kelly. Bhí sé rábhíocht nói an scúcail, agus do bhí sé buchad. Bhí gá bhain ór buite ag Jack Kelly sna cluichí Olympacha in 1920. Ní bhhain san a chuig sé ráis chuig na cluichí Olympacha in 1924, agus do bhuaigh sé an na scoil na dúbalta an uair sin chomá. Dá bhrí sin tá 3 bhain ór faoi sin buite ag Jack Kelly sna cluichí Olympacha don rábhíocht.
Sa bhliain 1924, fós John Kelly, Margaret Mhaigh, inín le himircí Gearmanacha. Bhí ceathar gasúr acu, agus bí Grace an dara duine bóige. Bhí tógáil Mhaigh go tealach le linn ré chrua America.
Tar éis Titim Wall Street in 1929, bhí Kelly ceart go leor, mar bhí a chud airgid in airgid tirim agus I maní rialtais. Nuair rugach Grace Kelly I hain, bhí Tach Dasaco in East Falls, bhí Court Ladoiga co, bhí Sharavontia co, bhí Timona co, go fiú bhí Taxira co in Ocean City. Dá bhrí sin tháinig sé tríd slán.
Going through a lot of the old photographs and news clippings and family pictures, it did remind me of how close they were. They were very much pals and very close.
They went to Ravenhill Academy, which was a Sisters of the Assumption Catholic school. They were enthusiastic about not only sports, but also drama, where all the sisters continued well after Grace went off to Hollywood, participating at the Old Academy Players, also here in East Falls. So it was very localized.
Táimeann seo an snáirclan a chur Grace Kelly tús lena chudáisteart an seo a East Falls Cantor Philadelphia. Bhí cólacht ag anathair agus sa teapra síos an bóthrann sin acu ar Kelly Drive agus Cantor Allinne.
Bhí sim ag Bert uncle a bhí aici san aistóireacht, duine acu aistóir vaudeville a bhí an, agus an fear eile a huncle George, Dramador bahé, agus van sé amach dúis Pulitzer, agus is coscúil gur thug an Vertigo takeíocht agus cóirladí agus iad tasnóach.
She goes to New York and starts a modeling career. Cosmetics and stockings and, whatever she was modeling for in the magazines. So that was her first endeavor in New York, as well as trying to get parts in the theater.
And then, of course, the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York, and that's where she really started her acting career.
Thas sa Grace sa gaisteach ar an Ardan agus an rámaí telefíse agus salawad for si deis aisteachta ar Broadway in ráma dar a bhenim de Father in éonsaí le Raymond Massey. Héis de stúrthóir Hollywood Henry Hathaway í a eiceil sa ról sin thug sé páirte ina céad fadscan an an 19 14 hours.
Sin darí le hé Port Iontacha Oil I High Noon, Port Banphrionsa Gary Cooper, and is Grace Kelly go buinte seo blianas fethe agus Gary Cooper chuige blian dhís.
I mean it. If you won't go with me now, I'll be on that train when it leaves here.
I've got to stay.
Brunú chearra Oscar ar High Noon, ach ní ranna criticóirí rochanalta faoi husbantas Grace.
Is dóla me an buinte seo nach ra go leor taithí ací ó scórin camera, agus bhí na leirmheasna ról ní ra siad ró iontach.
She didn't take it personally, the feedback of her woodness. Now, to be fair, that role in High Noon really, that was the character. The character was very repressed. But she was able then to transcend that, and she was able to act in such a way that her personality infused her characters. It wasn't just about the look. She wasn't just, the beautiful doll moving stiffly through the role. She really had an energy that was very palpable, and I think that's what made her a star.
Ironically, it was her failed performance of Irishness that got her a breakthrough. In 1952, she unsuccessfully auditioned for the role of an Irish immigrant woman in a film called Taxi. She failed the screen test. Studio executives saw no promise in it.
Ach chonig an stúrthóir John Ford an tríal rinneisi agus bhí sesin an tóca le hí agus dtír sesin air Portaglacha in san scanán Magambo. Inis bhí si bís faoi seo, bhí si géirí bheith gobar le John Ford agus le Clark Gable agus chamála sin tros ar an aisce go dtí an Afric.
What would give her the right to say things like that?
She saw us that day when we walked up on the porch.
Oh. You must forget that it ever happened. It was just, it was nothing.
You want me to forget it?
That's why you changed your mind about taking us on this trip.
Plus the fact that you're not in love with your husband.
You mustn't say that.
I think John Ford really connected to her Irish heritage. He was very proud of his own heritage, and I think he saw in her some of the figures of Irish history, the great women. There she was.
Strange to watch one of her movies in her presence. See your mother on the screen, and then you're sitting next to her right there, and it's a very strange feeling.
From John Ford to Hitchcock to just incredible movies. There's only one or two that might be a little bit of duds, but the other, almost all of them are aces. 11 films in a very short period of years. That's and an Oscar. That's it's not given to everybody.
Her looks, while they were a great benefit, also kept her maybe from being recognized as the serious actress she was. I suppose the only one is Country Girl, where she got away from the looks and you really saw her acting.
All I want is my own name and a modest job to buy sugar for my coffee.
Will you listen to me?
You can't believe that, can you? You can't believe that a woman is crazy out of her mind to live alone in one room by herself.
So bhí néide chuige cahar tháinig Country Girl amach, now seo Port Umlán difriúil de Grace Kelly, anna ghóiríre, anna loidirach, saoil anna chrúil le hí mar character, Banchéile alcoholach, bhí Bing Crosby agus William Holden in san scanán seo. Agus spéisiúil go má maidir in the Oscars, bhí Judy Garland an bhliain sin in A Star is Born, bhí chuileganna céad fón géad cinnte go raibh Judy Garland chun an Oscar a bhua. So bhí ina an dain ar gachéine agus beidir a Grace Kelly chumá gur bhuaigh si ach Grace Kelly a thug an dúiseáile.
Buí líide chuige ceair an bhléon bo an nóí de réim scan an Grace, agus chu cín da scan an seoltas na picturelana. In the Mask, rá scan an Arna stúra ag Alfred Hitchcock. Rachach si chun aibre leis den tríúir, agus is ceargamach si ar cheann na príomhaisteoirí a bansa leis.
I think she resisted being made just into this symbol. She insisted on being a real person. I think it's interesting the role she played in Hitchcock's films. She was not just the cool blonde, kind of a passive object. No, she was very active. After all, she defended herself, killed the attacker in Dial M for murder. In Rear Window, she was a career girl and took a great risk to go to the murderer's apartment and find the evidence.
Rear Window, I thought that was a great story, and Hitchcock was a master at turning those kind of stories and filming them in a very dramatic and exciting and breathtaking way.
Is stolen gra sim ag Grace Kelly bheith gobar le Hitchcock, hig si go bhéadach si annach chuid de álam ó Hitchcock, agus hig Hitchcock go rá réalt os cór an camera ag a siúd. Tá sé simil freisin cluisimid faoin na Hollywood blondes ar nós Tippi Hedren agus Janet Leigh agus Eve Marie Saint, agus dúir ó bhí Hitchcock anna chrua bhís anna Dacker bheith gobar leis. Ach ní sin mar bhí se le Grace Kelly agus Hitchcock réitéidir go mála na chéile agus debriaidir go húntaach na chéile.
I mean, to think of To Catch a Thief, the comedy, I mean, she steals scenes from Cary Grant, and that's not easy.
You have a very strong grip, the kind a burglar needs.
She transcended her looks. Her looks were very important. I mean, it's classic. They still talk about getting a Grace Kelly type actress to play a part. But I think the light that shone from her and the fact that such a beautiful woman could be comic. I mean, I think High Society is an example. Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra, the way she could kind of banter with them, really.
Bhí si chógranner. Cinál ban ordnósach tá na fear galéirins an scanan seo an rá le hí. Scanan Harkeen agus an scanan déirnach rinne si.
You could have become a serious composer or a diplomat or anything you wanted to be. And what have you become? A jukebox hero.
That's jazz.
Agus héiste Oscar áil bhí sin an a rá róla bheith eice, agus bhín deise ce slíomhethe síl a bhaint amach sa héin a Hollywood. Ach, ina áit sin, bhainach si getasách, trí híal saolich na scannaíochta a bhautáil de ír in scéal. In lídé chuig cúig bhí Grace Kelly I mór a réime. Bhí Oscar ar a mataleice agus í ar an réalt bhú a bictúrlan na crunne, ach dároch cuat go féle scannaíochta a síl go teo.
Drastal si ar an bhéle scanán I Cannes agus bhúil si leis an brinsa Rainier. Hit an vertico ingráil na chéile. Fiadar gealtan sin agus bhí fáinearthaí agus rud spéisiúil ná tá fáine sin á chahabhaí in san scanán High Society.
Well, I think it was the happy ending of a movie. I mean, it was a romance. It was perfect. The most beautiful woman in the world finds her prince. And I think the fact that Monaco was on the French Riviera, the glamour of it all, I think it was very appealing. And I think to live in a beautiful place with a man who was very much in love with her, that courted her in a style that is straight out of the movies, what was not to like?
The skipper of the SS Constitution joins an illustrious passenger as she travels to her rendezvous with royalty. Her destination, Monaco, and marriage to Prince Rainier. Surrounded by her family and wedding party of 70, Grace Kelly, America's gift to Monaco, is the focus of all eyes on the liner when she appears on deck. A radiant prospective bride, she graciously poses for a battery of shutterbugs who swarm around her.
Prior to Grace's arrival, Monte Carlo in Monaco would have been known as a gambling mecca, but really Grace's arrival transformed Monaco. It disarmed French attempts to assert control over the principality. It absolutely revitalized the economy, and it made it, through her efforts, a hub for cultural events.
She elevated Monaco, certainly on the American scene, but even worldwide, just brought additional elegance. It was already a beautiful place, but she brought additional elegance to it and attention.
Is ócáid olmhór bheith an bhaine seo in Monaco, agus bhí simime gachéine an. Bhí an prescail an, bhí na Camry an, bhí na Hiireseoirí an, bhí simime gachtainna san gúna, agus dearthóra MGM a rinne an gúna. Ach rinne créile bio ar an bhaine seo. Agus saoigh sa bhí 1956 ní rá telefíse gachéine, ach de bhreathnig Trocha milliún duine ar an manis.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Pretty irresistible, the glamour as well as the Cinderella story of, you know, a young girl who grew up in Philadelphia, becoming the Hollywood actress and then the princess. It's a unique and a story that's usually only told in fairy tales.
About making any more movies, is that out of the question?
Yes, I won't be making any more.
Of course, she would have loved to have continued, but it was not too compatible with her role that she took on here as Princess of Monaco. And then, well, you know the rest.
Agus glindar orthú le na Banphrionsa úrnú, bhí pobl Monaco a súl go mór le teacht an éire réaga agus leanúns an neamhs bláchais. Ní chuireach an lánún réaga díma orthú. Laiste de bhliain ó fós Grace, bhecha céad páiste eice. Rugú an Banphrionsa Caroline an 1957. Rugú an Prinsa Albert an bhliain dar géan agus an 1965 an Banphrionsa Stephanie. Bhé de clú agus cáil Monaco go heidir náisiúnta.
I think it was Princess Grace that put Monaco on the map. She was a great representative of the country. She had to learn French. She didn't know French when she came here, but she really buckled down.
Les enfants sont dans une position d'être très gâtés. Et c'était assez difficile de préserver leur enthousiasme et leur fraîcheur.
She never showed any signs of weariness, or she was always welcoming to people and kind and understanding of situations.
In her public life, Grace very much represented, very consciously, both her heritage and her principality. She formally lunched with the Kennedys, Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy, in May 1961, and this was a month before her official state visit to Ireland. So the optics of the Irish princess lunching with the Irish president was very conscious, very deliberate.
Nóna dé Sarn, bhí fortáid clíthe plódaí le na mílte daoine a fannach leis an scáideatlán Brandán ó Forras. Bhí an Taoiseach agus an taire Princess Mhaigh gáin rompa san an rialtas. Har a ginne de Valera agus Morní Ceoin cailíní ein bhliain déag flasc blog an bheirt riaga. Per an drach Hampshire bórtear Gráine ná an sló a bhí lehan lei a fannach leiche. Rééis an áilte stáit glúis na húsle faoi ghradam go háras an Ochtaráin.
Curiú fáilte í chealaí ra bhain teilech réaga le linne gam chóirte néirin. Tháinig os cín 10,000 duine amach chun Banphrionsa Grace eáil. Le linne ócáid in óstan an Gresham, bhí leache duine cóirleasa áil ó an áthircháir, nuair a bhín slua a brú a molcha chéile chun í eáil. Rinne an teilech réaga sconan baile pársanta, annas go Biography an toras starúil seo.
I remember little snippets of that visit and seeing those pictures and seeing the footage. And you know, and then we learned that it was, you know, really the first official visit of a royal family since independence, really. And so I think there was a great affection and fondness for my mother and what she meant for those people in Ireland at that time.
Bhí éire ag athrú. Bhí le más mar Taoiseach agus bhí tionscalaíocht ag dul aráig agus bhí Sir Edicus is muinte an ministéir agus bhí éire nua ag gairí tar éis na céigedaí tar éis na dádaí agus bine an AMD teacht an seo mar anis tá duine agin duine a bhfuil buinte a going lei.
It's really hard to express how we feel over our visit. It's been simply wonderful in every way. People have been so warm and really so enthusiastic, and we've been deeply touched by that.
Yeah. Did you expect it?
No, not to such an extent. My goodness, it was quite overwhelming.
Níor chail sishi a sim in éireann I Mayo nó an seo I Mhaigh an bhíochan agus tháinig sí chuairt ifigúil I seachas a héin. Níor am a héanach teach mlína díos agus is cuimhinlumm radio éireann sin radio a bhí gach duine go raibh Princess Grace of Monaco go raibh tacht go héireann agus ag tacht an seo go dtí áise cheannachar in Ramallah a 2000 ón áitin bhfuil ar seasamh inniu.
I imagine it was very, very special when she landed in this little remote village where almost 100 years earlier her paternal grandfather had left and ensured that she had the life of a major Hollywood film star and a princess.
Tugan sin mortas áitiúil doin mar páistí. In san nuacht an áitiúil hí na Greengrafra agus na scéalta, hí bratainna éarnach agus Monaco gatseach agus híomh na buire. Agus domsa mar chalíonn bheag a chuidéadaí agus bhí sé chomhallann sin, bhí sé iontach. Agus tá na cuimhní sin na Mhaigh go dtí an lá seoineán.
Cuimhla Mhaigh an sin agus, leir siad a lig fuhuí, bhí sé mar ar nós rud mhór dómh siúd, bhí siad a gcónaí an tóca leithí. Ranna si go háin bhí páirsan dochtáil nechi agus ní chuile lá tharlann sé go bhfuil Banphrionsa teachtarrás agus bhí sé héon bródú las an ceangail sin agus na fréimhcha seo I Mayo. So bhí sé tarfatóg fi sin.
An rud is fearr ná chuí si amach go dtí an teo ina rugú a hanahar. Agus casú ar na córsanna agus ar an tlánan sin agus bhí an té acu. Agus bhí siad an bhródúil as an chóirt sin bheithe cant léhí margheall ar a muintir agus ar a chláán.
Sean seach na ceallaigh tá sé mar forra bhanis an digan tú ach an éideag seas go héin nuair a tháinig Grace bhí díon bhí tatch agus bhí gá seomra ann agus an duine bhí na coní ann ná an bantrach mó crán agus bhí go leor dína timpeall na háte tá pictúí ann le fáil agus do thug si té agus griddle cakes agus a riile do Grace.
Of course, you went to Newport and to Mrs. Mulcrone.
Yes.
Wasn't she a grand old woman?
Oh, she really was. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And we had a lovely, wonderful day, and we met all of my cousins there and enjoyed very much seeing them and meeting their families.
There were a great deal of them, their second cousins and their families, isn't that right?
Well, I imagine there must have been nearly 100, yes.
Tá muinte na háte faoirhróidí las an ceangail sin agus tá go leor gréalta ag acu fós an seo agus tá siad fós an ceangailt idirne na culcathracha sin.
Tá me na culcathair to Princess Grace ach tá me fada amach hanis.
My mother and she were second cousins.
My grandmother, Bridget McFadden, Rose, was married to Cummins.
Yes,
your mother,
yes. My mum was Nora.
Nora.
Yeah.
McFadden. Yeah.
Yeah. We had known from the first visit, from that, just before she came, that we were related.
Well, bhí mis ógan am sin. Ach bhúil mo bháthar agus mo ghailta go léir léhí is an presbytery I Carnamarth agus thug siad giftáil an G. Mahanna her PJ Kelly agus mahan bháthar Kathleen Kelly. Bhí siad léhí I dinner I Cha Newport, Cha Biography, Ostan Alané sin, agus in a year sin hog mahan wahar an menu dom, so tasha sin agam fós.
In the presbytery we met her. The priest had arranged for the cousins to meet her there. How could you describe a film star appearing in front of you, and her husband was lovely, quiet man, lovely. She just treated us as a cousin.
That was just it. You know, we talked or what have you. That was it. She was dying to meet my mother, of course. I had family pictures taken and everything, you know, we have them.
Agus í a Mayo hapa an Banphrionsa Grace an deis cuairt a thuirt chruach fáric. Bhí gardaí at sunlachan agus muintir na háite, gaolta lei agus os cín 7 cá a gumpar loch meán na crunne le na heis. Hiúil an lánún ruige go bun chruach fáric agus chuisí ag dealab fáric sal rósí brín eile té.
Cúisí amach ar cún má ag éascaracht, agus cúisí go Ileán inis gutal, agus búil sí le col carracha agus le daoine eile bhí buinte có lá.
Part of her going to Westport was that she'd go out sea fishing for a day. The message came from my father anyhow. She told him that she wanted to come ashore and visit for a couple of hours, which she did. And in the best way that we could, my mother prepared a huge white sauce, steamed white sauce, and a lovely silver plate and everything.
Paddy'd have caught that one himself, you know.
When that was going on, the Sunday World, the Sunday Independent, the Sunday Press, News of the World, Daily Mail, you name it. We could place column with them, 30 or 40 of them, at least. And it was an awful job to keep them out. Lovely person. She was interested in myself and my brother about our business of boat building and what we were doing and what not. Football. We were interested in everything.
She wanted to, to reconnect with her ancestral roots and get a better understanding for what the reality was in Ireland in those days. And she felt very strongly about the significance of that visit, and she wanted to show that she cared and that she wanted to help, and that was very much a part of what she was like as a person.
Haspanch, go raibh sé ar a gumas ag daoine níos mó ná 100 bliain ó shin, áit a gearú amach dómh féin agus dá chuid chláán, agus gur raibh chuid chun chláán sin, chláán i chealaigh ón áit seo, a dá suas, a rinne ag an ó féin, a bhí mar aistóir cháiliúil gulanta damhanda, agus a tháinig an aisin seo go pasanta má go raibh an sim sin aici go faising, agus go láidir.
Bhí siad thógáil súile an domhan int éirí hain agus éire mar áit nua, mar áit gur féidir a dhéanamh asa nua, mar a dénach bhealach na Gael Vericánach.
She knew that by coming to Ireland, the world media would focus on her. And she did it. She signified her Irishness, the beautiful Kelly green suit that she wore. And it was the perfect combination because Kelly green, her heritage, designed by Givenchy, the French designer. So she was saying you can be both. You can be proudly Irish American and you can be beautifully dressed in a Givenchy suit. And I think she wanted the world to see that and understand that this is such a unique and special place, and yet it belonged to her too.
Every time I go back to Ireland, I meet people that were on the streets or did meet her or did shake her hand during that visit, and seeing how much that touched them and is incredibly heartwarming.
Le linne seascadaí, Dilach Grace agus a chlán éiring in Gunas go na Meáin.
We went back privately 2 years later in 1963, and we stayed at Carton House for a couple of weeks one summer. And the memories there are even more vivid. And going salmon fishing, my dad went salmon fishing, but we went with him. I didn't catch anything, but so those kind of things were great memories and a better introduction to Ireland than the first official visit.
Bhéad a cin Grace éireann de réir mar bhí si teacht, agus solhád bhí si cuimrú áit níos buine a amsún seo. Rud a sprágaí chun fille bhaile í íocháin.
Néideag seachtó sé, ceannig si an fórah, agus is dóil timppel trucha cuaig acrí timppel na háte. Agus bhí ina intín ege teach saoire dhéanamh as.
She was showing me photos of the house, and we sat and talked for a long time. She was very excited about making the renovations and being able to go there and visit and take her kids to see their Irish roots there.
I think she intended to make Ireland a real part of her life. As her children got older and as the duties lessened, I think that was her idea. That was how she would spend her golden years. And as we all know, she did not have golden years.
Le linne réime mar Banphrionsa Grace Bhanacó, hastil si fud na crunne a bóla le Canary Stáit. Bhíoh si go siarí a taistil a freastal hóilgas réaga, a thug si túsáite dá clán a gúnaí.
I was informed that the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, was going to come to Monaco, and he'd be a recipient of the Man of the Year award. The princess said to me, "Listen, Peter," I said, "do me a favor, and when you meet Dr. Kissinger, can you give them my apologies that I won't be at the gala evening?" And I sort of gulped. I said, "You're not going to be there?" She said, "Well, no, I'll explain to you. Listen, Stephanie is in Paris at school, and it'll be her first communion the next day." And she said, "I can't stay out to a gala evening till 3 a.m. and be in Paris at 8 for a mass." At that moment, I thought, gee, she really has her priorities straight. She's thinking of her children instead of all these notables that are coming to stay in her home.
She was very loving and very generous, and had a big heart. All the charity work that she did showed that empathy that she had toward other people, and but she was very much like that also in a family setting. There was always a wonderful atmosphere in the family, and she always had the right word and the right smile at the right time.
Probably the most properly named person. She was gracious, very warm, and always would look people right in the eye. She would be truly present with that person and really did care. And you can't fake that. It's not the kind of thing that one can pretend or act your way through.
What I just think of her was always just so caring and involved with us. I received a letter from her just 4 weeks before my marriage, giving me advice about my upcoming nuptials and what life might be like for me going forward.
Bhí Grace fós a fáil tariscin sí obair sconanaíochta. Rinne Hitchcock a bhíle díhil í a bheála chun an príomhpháirt a ghlacha a marnaí, mar sin héin dhiúlta sia. Ach, bheith máltach na hálclanne rotharanteachta.
Sa bhíon 1979, rinne si cinna gáil ar an stáitse arís, agus ihe filiochta a bhí gceist, agus rinne si trosbeag, agus stop si i maileát lia ag an bhéile airclan a bhlát lia.
Delighted to be able to participate in the festival. I have been aware of it for many, many years through Lord Killannon specifically, and years ago I came to visit several rehearsals with him. So it's very nice to participate, and it's always a pleasure to be in Dublin.
Bheach an taras go héireann an 1979 gan dearnach dhéanach sí. Chear bliana níos dearnaí agus iad tomáinte gnuc Bhanacó le na hinnín Stephanie fuair sí strók. B'na an rud a bachúis le droch an pist chlúisteán.
Even her husband didn't realize how serious it was. I got a message from him 6 hours after the accident informing me that Grace had an accident and that it seemed to be not too serious. And then, of course, And then the next morning I see the headlines in the paper that the Princess of Monaco is dead. So to me it came as a double shock.
A clot from out of nowhere. I mean, certainly she had not been ill. I mean, nobody expected something like that. Yeah, my dad called to say that there'd been a car accident, and then the next day that she had died.
It was a complete shock. And again, she was the matriarch of the family, so it was like the center of our family universe. It was actually a big disruption to the family and the cohesiveness of our clan.
There was a steady trickle of callers all day to the home of the Honorary Monaco Consul General in Dublin, Lord Killanin. Among those who expressed their sympathy today was the Taoiseach, Mr. Mhaigh.
The thing that we in Ireland perhaps liked about her most of all was that she was so proud of being Irish.
When that tragedy happened in 1982, people in Newport felt strongly they had lost one of their own, and very poignantly they sent a bouquet of wildflowers from the fields around the homestead which she wanted to develop to Monaco for her funeral.
Oh, it was sad. Oh, it was sad. She went so quickly. Such a young woman, you know. But I suppose that's life. It goes on. We can't change it. None of us know. She was lovely.
Everyone was shocked, you know. It's in shocks around the whole town, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a genuine shock because she was the person that we knew.
I'll never forget, after her passing, the letters that we would get and the phone calls we would get from people wanting to express their condolences, of course, but saying how through her actions, through her words, through her smile, how she touched the lives of so many people, even in countries that she never visited. I think that's a great testimony to her kindness of spirit and to her heart.
I think her legacy is tremendous here in Monaco, and the influence that she had in the city and the country. And I think this library that we're in is a good example of her legacy, her cultural legacy that she's left.
This library was actually inaugurated by Prince Rainier 2 years after her death in 1984. And the reason was Prince Rainier had the private collection of Princess Grace, her Irish books, her Irish-American music collection at the palace. And he wanted to pay homage to Princess Grace and her love and attachment to Ireland.
Is leabharla na atá oscail gan phobal is féidir le pobl na háite teachtasteach agus taide dhéine nó léamh dhéine nó díreach a bheith breanú an maileachan atá an.
Every year there's several cultural events, but I usually try to go to the concert that's around St. Patrick's Day, and it's always a wonderful event and really is a great way to introduce Irish culture to people in Monaco and to our visitors.
Tá anchuid úsáid sa leabharlann seo ag Winter na Héireann, scríbneoirí agus alíontóirí agus bíonn sporánachtaí ar fáil faoi ghó sam líon agus scolar sporánach de stói cónathe a bhíonn an agus is féidir iartas a churisteach ar sin agus is féidir le daoine mí a chatha san airach nó sa bhómhar blianar be má éiríonn dó an sporánach do bhaint amach.
When you think of it, there's no other nation that has that attention and that support from the Princess family in Monaco. So it's very unique. And you wonder, if they had never taken that first visit in 1961, how things would have been so different. I think it's just a thread that is linking all the generations.
Waar na nascanna a chratha Grace idir Éireann agus Monaco na blianta fada I ní a báis. Defní na mac an Prinsa Albert go mar an ceangal go fóil le na chóirte na rialta Éireann.
Pas mé an Prinsa Albert go blúr hánig se sin chuirt efigúil, agus tagann se go héir an gomininic tá sim agus an áit, sílim go dúirtí sé cabhar mar duine den riagas Monaco, gun coiste áitiúil anseo, scéal a bháthair a láidirú asio hamach.
Of course, the official visit with Charlene in 2011, 50 years after my parents' official visit, was very moving and very significant. And then it's been, almost every year since then. So I feel a great connection now and a great sense of that legacy, and I'm very proud of that.
Tá DNA na héireann agus dromul agus bailí bhíochan ina chuid fulla tagann sé go minic cuairt na príomháideach go Carna Mart agus bailíochan. Agus tá sé sin go híntaach dúin.
Bhí sé an seach go bbliana hen agus is ceoltar mé a bhí muidir ceol sa fab agus tháinig sé stra agus thug mis an má fidal dó. Mar agus thug sé súsa is ar cosúil gur é sin chéidir bhí fidal an lábhaige. But hí sé stra bhí sé go hála ag bhí sé jazz bhí crack agin leis.
He liked a bit of Guinness because I'm very fond of the Guinness. No, I won't say what the drink, but he liked it, yeah.
He's a true Irishman. His mother bought the homestead, bought the ruins. I'd been to the ruins with Albert, and he went over to the gable wall and just put his hand on the gable wall. Turned his back on the camera, But here, with the returned immigrant, it's lovely. Lovely.
They bought the farm around the cottage.
Yeah.
The house is still standing there. It's in good just the four walls, but it's in good condition. It could be it could be made into a little heritage centre or something.
It's in a beautiful spot, overlooking a leg of Mutton Lake, and it is a very beautiful little spot, and it's a wonderful treasure to have. There is a plan to restore it fully, which hasn't quite materialized yet, but we are working on that. Maybe her dream will come true someday.
Inis an lá tá nniu ann tá dealamh curtha I gcóir Grace I lár bailíochan.
Is mór an ordóin gur tháinig Prince Albert leis an dealamh an ochtú I Mina Martha.
It's a beautiful statue, and it's in a beautiful spot there. And I hope that it will help in Newport's future development.
I think people are going to be here and take pictures all the time, and it's really wonderful that they've taken the time to remember Grace and honor her this way.
Fós tá Anna bhaint leis na daoine an seo le Grace. Tá sí ina chrí na daoine timpeall na háite seo. Agus tá sí an seo go fáil.
Chur Grace Kelly an baile seo ar léirscail an domhain agus tá sin táhachtach don cantar agus de iarthar na héireann.
She still has an amazing impact on people that seems to warm their heart to see her and to think of her and remember her radiance and her grace. She was just such a special person. It's nice to remember someone who made everybody feel good and did beautiful work both in the movies and as a princess.
I think for Irish Americans, for everyone, she'll represent the arc of our history. She was our princess.